I go, here I go. Yeah, here I go, here I go.
Welcome in, everyone, to yet another episode of The Take with your host, Jackson Burlison, of course. And in this episode, a little bit different scenery going on behind me. We're at the beach here in Florida. We finally made that crazy 24-hour drive. We made that look like light work on Saturday. We drove 13 hours straight all the way from LSU all the way down to southern Florida. Officially have moved into the Fort Lauderdale area, so we are finally here, guys. But before we get into this episode, make sure to hit that subscribe button, like this video, and also comment what you guys think about this podcast. We have a lot to get into today, so we're going to go ahead and just dive right into it. So, as you guys know, on Saturday, the White House, and there's been a lot of questions about UFC White House after, the assassination attempt on Donald Trump at the Correspondents' Dinner. Basically, a guy just ran through the security checkpoint, which was at the Hilton Hotel, and it's brought up a lot of question marks for at least me personally about, what is the security going to be like at the UFC White House this summer, because I know that's going to be right at the White House on the South Lawn, and it's going to have to be very secure because we cannot have something like this happen again, especially if the president is going to be at the event. So the event is June 13th and 14th, and right now, from what I'm reading, it's being classified as a Tier 1 event, which is basically the same top-tier security designation used for the Super Bowl. So it's going to be on top of it. And one thing that does kind of help with this is that it is invite only, so you're only going to be allowed to have certain people in there. Trump won't let you in if you're not invited. And I know they're having a bunch of fan fests and like a watch party far away, but the venue is overall very small. I know Trump was talking about building like 100,000 person stadium at the White House. It was just too short of a time, honestly. And excuse my eyes, guys, if it's really bright. The sun is directly in my eyes. But basically, I'm kind of just trying to think. So obviously, when it comes to events like this and there's a bunch of people around and you have an important person like the president there, you got to have snipers up top, of course, of the White House everywhere. You have to basically quadruple your security for any kind of event since it's a Tier 1 event. This has been a little bit more well-planned, but that's also what I'm worried about a little bit. And during the shooting, after it happened, Dana White, the UFC president, was there. So I just want to play his reaction of being at that correspondent dinner when this all went down.
Inside, they started up. All of a sudden, it just started getting noisy. Tables getting flipped over, guys running in with guns, and they were screaming, "Get down!" I didn't get down. It was fucking awesome. I literally took every minute of it in, and it was a pretty crazy, unique experience.
So you were on the aisle. What exactly?
We were sitting right in front of the table.
Okay.
Right in front of where the president was.
Yes. And what exactly happened? So someone got tackled, or what?
Nobody got tackled, but guys came in looking for shooters, and they came toward our table. I thought the shooter was over by us or something.
Pretty crazy, hearing a gunshot like that in a big space. And I know a bunch of people were talking about, kind of mapping out the area. Where the correspondent dinner was taking place, it was a little bit underground, so everyone was kind of just sitting there. You do duck, obviously. The Secret Service did a great job of getting Trump out of there immediately. But, right now the UFC, they're moving toward, working with federal agencies, including the FBI, to prepare for the UFC Freedom 250. And they just want to have – it's a bigger security challenge for sure, but it's something they're going to have to tackle because nothing like this can happen at this kind of event where it's just so special, but it's at the White House. You know what I mean? That's what you really have to watch for, in my opinion. It's just something I brought up. I'm obviously excited about the card. I think it's going to be a great thing for the UFC, but it's just making sure that those kind of venues are secure are very, very important, and especially something like this and a president who has history of assassination attempts. There's been multiple on him, even before he was even president this second time around. There's been a lot of them. So just trying to tighten that up and also keeping everyone else safe because, it just would suck to see a event like this at the UFC White House just kind of turn into a bad thing due to just one accident or just one guy ruining it for everyone. And that's what I just want to see some good fights. You know what I mean? I just want to see some good fights in the cage with the White House in the background. You know, we don't need to be dealing with all this other stuff. But I was honestly about to go to bed because I came off a 13-hour drive that Saturday night, and then we got the news that, you know, there was another attempt on Trump's life. So, and he did a press conference right after it, but there were no questions about the UFC White House event addressed. I wish somebody would have asked. If I would have been in that press conference, I would have asked, like, hey, you know, like, what are you thinking when it comes to the UFC White House since this just happened? What are some things you need to do moving forward, things like that? Just kind of touching on that a little bit. But, yeah. So basically, Trump says he's going to reschedule the correspondent dinner. He's not going to stop the high-profile events that he's going to be doing. So he just says you can't pause anything, and that's just the American way of life. But let's go ahead and get into some NBA playoffs. So, man, we had some series get wrapped up last night. We had some teams fighting for their lives. We have some teams in deep holes. One thing I want to talk about first is Joel Embiid, the 76ers center, has returned. He just came back after 17 days of apectomy surgery. He put up 26 points in 34 minutes against the Boston Celtics, but it wasn't enough. The Celtics dominated 128-96. They take a 3-1 series lead. Peyton Pritchard had 32 points, 6 threes. Jason Tatum, 30 and 11. The Celtics made 24 threes, and they also won the rebound advantage, 51-30. Honestly, I thought it was kind of a miracle that Philly won Game 2 in Boston, and then they can't win one, especially with Embiid coming back at Philly. I think that's a little bit crazy if you ask me. But then again, you know, you get games like this where, you know, the Celtics just weren't hitting their threes in Game 2, so that's kind of why they lost that game. But I was kind of maybe thinking like, oh, you know, Joel Embiid's coming back. You know, maybe this team can start to find some life again. And it just was not the case. I mean, the Celtics are just so deep. They rotate a lot of bigs in. Embiid, he hasn't played basketball in a while, so it's kind of hard to just jump right into a playoff series after being injured and having emergency surgery. So he kind of talked about that after the game and kind of the mentality going into Game 5 as well.
It's tough because, you know, I had some complications after the surgery. Still kind of dealing with them, so, you know, just... and obviously, I went up and down once. You know, I need to get the chance to play once and, you know, go right back and stuff. But, you know, you try to do the best, you know, job possible with the conditions. You know, still got to go up and try to play well and win a basketball game. And we didn't do that tonight. We didn't play well.
Yeah, so obviously it's good to see him out there. You know, you want to see Joel Embiid playing, but it just sucks. I've said this in multiple podcasts. That he's just so unlucky. Like, the rhythm this team was in with Maxey, Paul George, and even Joel Embiid were just totally in sync coming into the playoffs. They win their playing game gratefully, but then again, you know, it'd almost be like, oh, they might have had a better chance against Detroit because you're kind of seeing how the Pistons are looking against the Magic, which let's go ahead and get into that series right now because, I mean, I've said this in a couple of podcasts, but the Pistons need more scoring. I mean, it just seems like there's only one guy scoring. It's Cade Cunningham. And are you going to rely on Jalen Duren to get you 20 points every single night? Can he be your go-to scorer as the second option if you want to win a championship? I don't think so. I think he's more of a third-option player. I mean, he's more of a rebounding defensive player. But in my opinion, it's kind of one of these things where the Pistons have the 1 seed. I feel like it's just giving me flashes of the Miami Heat in 2023 when they came out from the play-in. You know, the Magic are really good. They're a really good basketball team. I mean, they have a lot of talent. They got Ben Caro. They have Franz Wagner. They have Jalen Suggs playing really well. And then they have guys that can come off the bench like Goga Pataze, who had a couple of nasty blocks last night. This is just a really good team. And Jamal Mosley, he is coaching for his job. Because they win this playoff series, this will literally save his job. And when you look at this Magic team, I mean, you can point out a lot of things. But for me, it's not even about them. It's the Pistons. the Pistons are turning over the basketball way too much. Through 3 quarters, Cade Cunningham had 8 turnovers. The team as a whole had 15. In the third quarter, in the middle of the third quarter, the turnover ratio was 15-4. The Pistons had 15 turnovers in 3 quarters. They were just giving up the ball. So, like, obviously, if you're just coughing up the basketball, not taking care of the basketball, you're going to have some problems. And that's what this Pistons team has had issues with. Cade Cunningham has had a lot of turnovers. I think he's averaging around 6 turnovers per game in this series. That is not going to cut it, and that is not going to win you games. It just can't. And for me, it's like I don't get how the Magic are doing this. I think it's because they are healthy now. Franz Wagner is now healthy. Desmond Bane was hitting some big-time shots last night. John Morant and Jaren Jackson were in the house for that, which is actually pretty cool because all 3 of those guys were teammates at one point, and they're all 3 on different teams now, and they're all supporting each other. You like to see former teammates supporting each other like that. But for me, it's like I said this last episode, the Pistons are done. They need another scorer besides Cade Cunningham, and they just don't have it right now. It's just a tough way to win games if you don't have another offensive star to really give you some spark. Because, I mean, I love Asor Thompson, but he's not going to give you any offensive output when it comes to, like, Cade would. You need somebody who's going to get maybe half of Cade's numbers, 24, 25 points per game, because Cade is carrying this team. He had 39 in Game 1. That was a playoff high for them, and they still lost. They looked really good in Game 2. They lost Game 3. It just seems like they're getting behind in these games. Last night was a little bit closer, but then again, like, they went scoreless for a long period of time in the fourth quarter. They just couldn't score. They couldn't hit shots. They were turning over the ball. The Magic were able to make their free throws, and the Pistons just were not able to make their free throws. They were like 7 for 14 from the free throw line in the fourth quarter at one point. I don't know exactly what they finished with the fourth quarter free throws, but they weren't making their free throws. They left a lot of points on the line. I mean, I think they left like 7 points on the line. They were down by 8. So if you hit those free throws, it's a 1-point game. I mean, it's just little things like that. Turnovers, free throws, it really impacted the Pistons, and I'm very surprised that we're about to see them. We're seeing them down 3-1, going back at home. Can they come back? I don't know. I mean, the Magic, they're on track to become just the 7th number 8 seed ever to win a series over a top first seed. I mean, it's just like Orlando forced 20 turnovers, and they only shot 32.6% from the field. That's not great, but the 20 turnovers forced is the stat of that game. It is. It's been the theme of the series, to be honest. And then let's go ahead and stay in the Eastern Conference, Raptors versus Cavaliers. The Cavaliers just blew this game. They were winning this game basically the majority of the time. They were losing at halftime. They kind of got control of it, and then they let the Raptors get back into it. The Raptors defensively were very good in this game. Brandon Ingram was hitting some very clutch shots, very tough shots. Scotty Barnes, he had a great dunk in this game. They were getting out in transition. Cleveland has to win Game 5, because if they don't, again, you're going to be writing up another season of Donovan Mitchell, another season of James Harden. I mean, I saw someone going, oh, James Harden's going to get a championship. I don't think James Harden's going to get a championship. I just don't. I mean, even if Cleveland makes it to the Eastern Conference Finals, you really think they're going to beat the Celtics? No. The Celtics are too good. They're too deep. The Cavs are deep. They're talented, but it seems like they're underperforming against a team who is way younger. The Raptors have not been to the postseason in a little bit now. They have a lot of new faces making the postseason for their first time. Scotty Barnes playing his first playoff series. RJ Barrett's played in the postseason before with the Knicks, but they have some little experience. And Emmanuel Quickley has been out most of the series, and he was out the first 2 games. He's been out majority of the series, and they're still tied 2-2. So that's kind of where I'm at, is like, and my thing is, like, the Raptors, they shot 4 for 30 from the three-point line in this Game 4, and they still won. The Raptors were giving the Cavs the game, and they just couldn't close out. They couldn't hit shots. At the end of the game, they couldn't hit shots. Mitchell would drive in, miss a layup. There were a couple times like that. I was listening to it on the radio, so I was hearing it. I was driving, but then again, it's just like you can't have things like that happen again. Cleveland, again, 18 turnovers. Donovan Mitchell shot horrible from the field. He missed 18 shots, 6 of 24. That's not going to win you games. It's just not. I mean, it's just I can't believe what we're seeing with some of these Eastern Conference series. I mean, the Cavs are tied 2-2. The Pistons, they're down 3-1. I think that series is over. I think the Magic could make the finals. They could make the NBA finals with the way they're playing. Banchero, I think right now this playoff run is going to determine if Paolo Banchero can be the number one option on a championship caliber team. Because he can. He's 6'10". He can handle the basketball. He's been driving to the basket with authority, just dunking it. I mean, that rim's got to hurt by now. That rim's got to hurt. And my thing is, like, this series is like, I had the Pistons go into the Eastern Conference Finals. But it just feels like the Pistons aren't ready. They're just not. And let's go ahead and go to the West. Just real quick, the Los Angeles Lakers could not get the sweep. They were looking for their first franchise sweep since 2010. They couldn't get it done. LeBron James, he admitted after the game that the turnovers were his fault because he was like, we've got to get this sweep. We've got to get control of the series because the Lakers needed time. Austin Reeves, he's still injured. Luka Doncic, he's still out. They need time to heal. They need time. They needed this sweep. And the Rockets have not had Kevin Durant for 3 out of the 4 games in this series. Completely changed everything. And who knows if he even plays in Game 5. I mean, it's just kind of crazy that an injury in practice before this series really held him out for this long because Kevin Durant doesn't miss games. He doesn't. Whenever he has a chance to go on the floor, he's not going to miss games. And it's just very shocking to me. He must be really, really hurt. Apparently, Tyree Eason ran into his knee during practice before the series started. First of all, why are you doing that heavy kind of contact practice before a playoff series like this? Because without Kevin Durant, you have no chance. And you already don't have Fred VanVleet, so you're already at a disadvantage there with no point guard. It's just been a tough series. But Alfred Sengun, he was good enough for one night to get you one game. I expect the Lakers to win this series in 5 games. And then the Nuggets, they were able to make this a 3-2 series lead. What the crazy part is in Game 4, Dante DiVincenzo tore his Achilles. Anthony Edwards, he had a left bone bruise and a hyperextension in that knee. And the Timberwolves still won Game 4. Still. And, I mean, Jokic has not had the greatest series. In Game 3, he missed like 22 shots, was 7 of 29. 7 of 29. That is bad. But he got back on track last night. He was like 9 of 15 from the field, 27 points, 16 assists, 12 rebounds. His 23rd playoff triple-double. 3rd all-time, by the way. And it's going 3-2 back to Minnesota for Game 6. Can Denver come back in this series? Yes, I do believe they can because Anthony Edwards and DiVincenzo are both out most of the series. Probably the whole series. Dante DiVincenzo's out for the season. Anthony Edwards is going to miss multiple weeks. So neither of those guys are coming back this series. DiVincenzo's out for the entire playoffs. That hurts them. Maybe they can get out of this series, but the next series against the Spurs, they would have had a solid chance to win that series if those two guys were healthy against the Spurs because they're very good defensively. It would be very interesting to see how Rudy Gobert did against Victor Wembanyama and you have all those other pieces around because Rudy Gobert's done a great job this series on making life difficult for Nikola Jokic. It has been insanely difficult. Insanely difficult. And Nikola Jokic is still putting up near triple-double average numbers, and he's not even playing that well. That's the crazy part. He's been elite when he's not elite. I don't get it. I mean, this is how good this guy is. That's why he's the best player in the league. But my thing is, like, the Timberwolves, you can't be turning it over this much. 25 times in Game 5? I'm telling you, the turnovers have been a huge storyline in these playoffs. If you just turn over the basketball, you don't take care of it, you're going to have a hard time winning games. You are. It's just the reality of it. You're giving up possessions. You're giving the other team a chance to get ahead, take time off the clock, and score quickly. It's It's just how it is. But it was good to see the Nuggets get a win because I really was worried about that they were going to lose. And for me, I've been saying this is Nikola Jokic's best team he's had. I mean, he has the most depth that he's had. But it also doesn't help when Aaron Gordon was ruled out an hour before tip-off. He is very important defensively for this team. I mean, he's missed a couple of games in this series. So they haven't been healthy. But then again, I don't think Aaron Gordon being out, it has any excuse for the way Nikola Jokic has been playing. But then again, are you going to really hurt Jokic for that? Or are you just going to be like, well, Rudy Gobert is playing fantastic defense? I would just live with the Rudy Gobert thing. Rudy Gobert has been all over the place. I mean, he's been the key player in this series. This is why the T-Wolves are up 3-2 in this series. Can they win one more game? That's going to be the deciding factor. I feel like the Nuggets can come back down 3-1 and win this series still. I think they can. If they play well enough, they hit shots in Game 6, and then they get it back to Denver for Game 7 without Ant, without DiVincenzo. Anything's possible. Anything is possible. And then let's go to the last two series. We'll make this quick. Thunder, they sweep the Suns. They make quick work out of the Phoenix Suns. They get the first sweep of the playoffs this year. The last team was the Cavs sweeping my Heat last year, unfortunately. I had to check that, had to look it up. But the Thunder are putting up some crazy offensive rating in this series. Their efficiency has been unreal. 126.9 points per 100 possessions. That's their most efficient playoff series in 3 years. Shea, he had 31 and 8 last night. And even in Game 3, the Suns got off to a hot start. They were up like 25-8, and then the Thunder rally back, and they're doing all, and they swept the Suns without J-Dub for 2 games. This team does not need J-Dub. I know it's been a conversation, is Giannis going to get traded? Are the Thunder going to make a move? They do have a lottery pick. They're going to have a bunch of picks. Are they going to keep it, or are they going to get rid of it? I think the Thunder should really go all in on getting Giannis because clearly J-Dub can't stay healthy, and you can get a difference maker like Giannis who can be an anchor defensively, or even just trade Chet because you could trade Chet Holmgren and get Giannis, keep J-Dub. I mean, one of those two guys are going to have to go eventually, but in my opinion, the Thunder are just too good defensively. They're shooting the ball too well right now. SGA, he is hitting some tough baskets. I know people don't like the foul baiting and things like that, but that's a skill. That's a conversation for another day. But then again, you just have to look at what he's doing. The mid-range game, the jumpers, the three-point shots, him going to the basket, his defense. I mean, the Thunder are stealing the basketball and getting easy layups. I mean, they have a great bench. Hartenstein, they have depth. Cason Wallace, Jared McCain comes in and gives you really good minutes. This is a team that I really don't see anyone beating besides the San Antonio Spurs, which we'll talk about right now. The San Antonio Spurs get Wembanyama back. Now, first of all, I just want to give you my reaction about Victor Wembanyama's concussion. I was sitting there having a hard time watching it. And for people, I had a couple people text me, go, oh, that's not that bad. He hit his face first on a wooden surface. Please tell me if you would be okay with hitting your face on a wood surface like that and be like, oh, yeah, that's not that bad. And the thing about it is, I don't know how he, recklessly didn't catch his fall. I'm kind of surprised he didn't have, an orbital fracture on his face or break his nose or anything. Because, he mashed it on the wood floor twice. There was one slow replay you saw where the wood board lifted when he hit the ground. I'm like, are you kidding me? This is bad. You can't make this up. This is something that you have to look at. And he missed Game 2, the rest of the game. He missed Game 3. He comes back in Game 4. He was all over the place defensively. But what impresses me the most is not Wemby, but the Spurs team without Wemby. Stephon Castle had 33 points in Game 3. This dude is a superstar. That's their franchise point guard right there. In his second year, former Rookie of the Year, you have De'Aaron Fox as well, who's going to cultivate this group in a moment where they need it. Because Portland could have easily won that game. I think the Spurs were down 15 or 16 points in Game 3 and then came back and won the game by 12. By 12, they came back. that the resiliency on this team has just been absolutely fantastic. And for me, they're doing this without Wemby. Wemby is obviously the guy you need to win a championship and to beat a team like the Thunder. But to beat a team like the Blazers, you necessarily don't need him. I was questioning a little bit if you did need him or not for this team to even be good. But you have good enough players around, like Keldon Johnson comes off the bench. You also have Luke Cornett, who can fill in that center spot. Mason Plumlee, you also got a third-string center there that can fill in rotation minutes without Wemby. This team has played games without Wemby. It's not like he played the entire 82 games. He didn't even play 65 games this year. I think he played like 63 games, which he's the first unanimous defensive player of all time, and he's the youngest defensive player of all time. That's absolutely fantastic. This dude's on a trajectory, like I said, to be the GOAT of basketball if he keeps up what he's doing. And it'd be crazy if he won MVP too, which I don't think he will win MVP. I think it's going to be SGA. Cooper Flagg also won Rookie of the Year over Con Knippel. Apparently the ballots weren't submitted until after Con Knippel's bad play-in game, so that might have affected him a little bit because Michael Wilbon, I know, was saying he voted for Con Knippel, but he was saying if he saw what he was doing in the play-in, he would have taken his ballot out. I don't really think that's fair because Cooper Flagg didn't even play in the play-in, so we never even got a chance to see him in that situation. All these awards are regular season awards. It's not a postseason / regular season award. You can't judge it on things like that, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. You can't judge things on that because Cooper Flagg didn't play in the postseason. Con Knippel did. It's different being a rookie playing in the postseason. It is. It's a different game completely. It's more physical. The referees allow more contact. It's not the regular season. But I like playoff basketball because you can see more hand checking. You can see more physicality down low. Harder fouls. Now, then again, there's some funny technical fouls, like it's a hard foul. They called one on Goga Pataze last night. It was like he basically finished through the play because the guy he fouled was finishing the play. I don't remember who it was, who he fouled. I think it was Tobias Harris. Tobias Harris got pushed a little bit as he was shooting and then went through, and Goga still fouled him pretty hard, but they called a technical foul for that. I think that's kind of soft in my personal opinion. Also, one thing I don't really like before we move into the NFL draft and the play of the week stuff, I don't necessarily like when you have two successful challenges that you don't get to have another challenge. I think if you keep getting challenges right in an NBA game, I think you should keep having the privilege of challenging, in my opinion. You shouldn't just not be able to challenge. That's just my opinion, but you can look at it however you want. They do the same thing, I believe, in the NFL. If you challenge it, you get to keep it if you win the challenge. So I think the NBA should do something very similar to that. But let's go ahead and move on to the play of the week real quick. So we got the play of the week going on right now. So basically, we're going to take this from the Spurs game. In Game 3, Dylan Harper had an amazing dunk. We got a helicopter flying over us right now as we're talking about this. But I know it's popping out here. It's a nice, beautiful day. I'm looking at the ocean right in front of me. I didn't want the ocean to be the background because the sun is pointing right at me, so I was kind of like, I don't really know sunlight. But this play of the week's a good one. Dylan Harper, the San Antonio Spurs, he went off for a career high in the playoffs in Game 3. That was also something I forgot to mention in that Game 3 game. Stephon Castle had 33 points, but Dylan Harper, that rookie out of Rutgers, has been a problem. 27 points, 10 rebounds, 9 for 12 shooting, 4 for 5 from the three-point line. And he had a great dunk. Went baseline, left-handed, in the air. Fantastic. Let's play this play of the week real quick.
Yeah, Wemby can't believe it.
Feeding against Henderson. He'll drive. Oh! And slam it down. Sharp.
And right here, Dylan Harper goes up, making Pops proud right there with the left hand. Hang in the air jam over Robert Williams. Yeah, Wemby can't believe it.
All right, so that's what this week's play of the week. The reason I was looking at plays of the week, I was watching a bunch of games, and I was like, that one was the nastiest dunk I saw all the weekend. I mean, it was. That one, I mean, just the way he went up. He was gliding in the air, left-handed. I mean, come on. Stop it. I mean, this rookie is special. That's why I'm saying the Spurs have a lot of young pieces that have really been impressing me. And for a guy like that to come off the bench and do that kind of damage, it's just hard to beat that kind of production. That's what the Pistons are missing, is a player like this to be able to step in and give you 20 points on a night where you're not really expecting it. They need somebody to pick up the slack. You're not going to win if you're scoring under 100 points most of the time in the playoffs, if you're not offensively firing at all cylinders. Now let's go ahead and get into the NFL draft, the 2026 NFL draft. Now, my mock draft, I only got 3 picks predicted correctly. This was not a good mock draft for me at all. I mean, I got the Ravens' 14th overall pick correct. I got the Browns' 24th overall pick correct, and I got the number 1 overall pick correct. I said we were going to come here and summarize this thing. I mean, I don't even know how much. I kind of just want to go through some of the picks that I really did like and was kind of surprised about instead of the predictions, because I thought I was going to do a lot better on my mock draft. I thought the thing with my mock draft was that the top of the order just changed so quickly. I mean, Mendoza went 1, David Bailey went 2, which I was like, yeah, I'm not really too surprised about that because I had him going 3rd overall anyways. But the thing I was surprised about was when the Cardinals took Jeremiah Love at 3, and then when the Titans took Carnell Tate at 4. That was my surprise. Carnell Tate was a bigger surprise to me. I know it was a team need, but I had him going 8th to the Saints. I think, in my opinion, the reason the Titans took Carnell Tate is because Jeremiah Love was not on the board. And I was talking to a Cardinals fan the other day. He was saying that Jeremiah Love is a better running back prospect than Ashton Genty. Let me know in the comments if you guys agree with that. He went higher than Ashton Genty, which is kind of crazy. But then again, I think one thing we need to really look at with Jeremiah Love is he had Jadarian Price, 2 running back system at Notre Dame, so his stats probably weren't as good as Genty's just because he wasn't the only good running back on his team. Because Jadarian Price went in the first round to the Seahawks at 32, which that was another surprising pick. You had 2 Notre Dame running backs go in the first round. That was a little bit surprising to me, and the only running backs to go in the first round. But then again, for me, it's like Jeremiah Love, I like what he's doing, but would I take him over Ashton Genty? No. I think Ashton Genty's going to be a better player. I think Jeremiah Love's a better receiver, but I think Ashton Genty's a more physical running back. I think he's also going to be able to have a higher volume of carries. And I think Jeremiah Love, in my opinion, they have a lot of running backs in Arizona. They still have James Conner. He's not even going to be the primary guy either. He's still going to be kind of rotating in with 2 running backs. So that's kind of what I'm looking at right there with the Cardinals. But, I mean, they wanted offensive help. They were too high to get an offensive lineman, really. But I thought they were going to trade back at least with Dallas or even Washington. But we'll get into the rest of those teams in a second. And then the Titans taking Carnell Tate. I like what that receiving core looks like now. You've got Wan'Dale Robinson. You've got Calvin Ridley. You've got Carnell Tate now. You have 3 competent receivers for Cam Ward in year 2. There's no way he has a worst year, especially with Brian Dable as the offensive coordinator. And they still have Tony Pollard. So it's not like they don't have a running back. They had a running back going in. That's why I wouldn't have been surprised if they didn't take Jeremiah Love, which, again, he wasn't even able to fall to them, which is kind of the crazy part. That's what I wasn't really expecting. I was expecting him to maybe be available and the Titans maybe go a different direction, but he was not available. That's the bottom line. I do like that pick for that. I mean, it helps their young quarterback a lot. And then the Giants, Arvell Reese fell. I thought the Jets would take him at 2. That was what I had him at. And the Giants, they get a very dynamic player for John Harbaugh's defense. That is the first player that John Harbaugh took as a New York Giant head coach in this draft. Very, very, very good pick. I like that a lot. 6, the Browns, they trade with the Chiefs. The Chiefs move up to take Mansour Delane. I had Mansour Delane going 9th, but they wanted to guarantee. That's the thing. When you're in these kind of drafts, you want to guarantee that you're going to get the guy that you want. And they just moved up to take him, and they're like, okay, cool. I'm going to go ahead and take this guy because you don't know if he's going to fall. Because there were a lot of teams that needed corner help. So I think it was very important for the Chiefs to move up and the Browns to move down. And then 7th, surprised that Sonny Styles is even here. I had him going 5th overall to the Giants. He goes to the Commanders. Great. Now the Cowboys had to play Sonny Styles twice a year. But I had them taking Reuben Bain, but they get Sonny Styles, linebacker out of Ohio State. very good pick, in my opinion, for the Commanders. It brings youth to that defense immediately. You get a linebacker that can learn from Bobby Wagner as well, who is a veteran guy who's won Super Bowls. I like that pick for the Commanders, and they had to pick him. That was like best available player when they got him at 7th. And then at 8th, this guy went a little higher than I anticipated. So I didn't have him going – I had him going in the top 15, but I didn't have him going 8th. The Saints select a wide receiver, which I did get the position right. I had them taking Carnell Tate, but they take Jordan Tyson, who's an injury-prone guy. PCL, ACL, MCL injuries. He had a hamstring injury that he's dealing with last year, but the upside of this guy is absolutely unbelievable. I mean, he went to Allen High School, which is based in Texas. You know, you come out of there as a 3-star recruit. I don't care if you're a 3-star recruit. You're still nice. He went to Colorado, and then he also went to Arizona State, played really well in his last season at Arizona State. He had a lot of upside there. I like that pick for the Saints. You add a receiver to Chris Olave and a couple other guys. You give Tyler Shuck a receiver that can get 50-50 balls and make plays happen. And then at number 9, the Browns trade down with the Chiefs. They get Spencer Fano, offensive tackle out of Utah. This was the first offensive lineman to go in the draft. And there also were 2 offensive tackles out of Utah that went in the first round, which surprised me a little bit. But, I mean, that's a need pick. I thought they were going to take Francis out of Miami, but they didn't. They decided to go another direction. Francis went to the Giants. And no Caleb Downs here, which I was a little bit surprised about. There are a couple Giants fans that are a little bit upset. Hey, we could have had Caleb Downs and we could have had Arwell Reese, but you need somebody to protect Jackson Dart. Jackson Dart cannot continue to get hit and take punishment like he was last year. And then just kind of going down the line here, we'll go quickly through this, but the Cowboys, they trade up, they pick swap with the Dolphins, they get Caleb Downs. I love this pick. This guy's the best defensive player in the draft. He can play in the nickel. He's not coming off the field. He can read the quarterback's eyes. He can play in any defensive scheme. I think this is going to really fit on what Christian Parker and this new defensive coordinator is trying to do in Dallas. I like that pick a lot. And then we also got Malachi Lawrence, edge rusher out of UCF. I love that pick as well. His upside is fantastic. We loaded up on edge rushers this class. We took like 4 edge rushers, and then we took like 1 receiver in the 7th round. We also took an offensive tackle as well in this draft. I think the Cowboys got a lot better. We also picked up Marquez Valdez-Scantling in free agency. As of recently, we got D. Winters from the Niners, or D. Withers. I'm sorry if I got his name wrong. But we loaded up on defense in this draft. We did. We loaded up on a lot of defense. And then the Dolphins, they get Caden Proctor. I think at 12 is a lot higher than a lot of people anticipate. I am going like 26th overall, around that range. But Caden Proctor going to the Dolphins, in my opinion, I think this guy's going to be the biggest bust in the draft. He's not good when it comes to blocking against the run. He has had a little bit of weight issues. And the thing that makes him special is, you catch screen passes or he gets snaps under center under the Wildcat. That's not what an offensive lineman is supposed to do. I think he has the potential just because of his size, but then again, like, size can only take you so far, and he's not in a great culture. The Dolphins are not a great culture. So I don't really like that fit or that pick for the Dolphins at all. I thought they should have taken a wide receiver. I think they should have taken Mekhi Lemon, but then again, Mekhi Lemon went to the Eagles, which is crazy, at 20. So he gets a phone call from the Pittsburgh Steelers. Hey, you want to come be a Pittsburgh Steeler? They were at the 21st pick, which they ended up taking that Arizona State tackle. But the Eagles, they trade with the Cowboys. Cowboys go to the 23rd pick. The Eagles, they go to the 20th pick. They get Mekhi Lemon, who won the award for the best receiver in college football. That just seemed like such an Eagles pick, in my opinion, because it just feels very similar to the Devontae Smith pick, and you get a guy super talented. Does this mean A.J. Brown is for sure gone off the Eagles? I don't know. I mean, I would assume so. I mean, they've already said they're going to trade him by June 1st to kind of get that money situation taken care of. But A.J. Brown clearly does not want to be an Eagle, and I'm so surprised that they can't make this thing work because he's such a good receiver. Because when A.J. Brown's not on the Eagles, you're going to see how big of a difference maker A.J. Brown is, because you don't get a big receiver like that who can catch 50-50 balls and is fast. You don't get that. I mean, a couple years ago, that playoff game against the Niners, he was insane. You're not going to get a guy like that. But then again, the Eagles are probably thinking, well, Devontae Smith is a real number one. Because let's be real, A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith on the same team, you have 2 number 1 wide receivers on your football team. So then again, that was one pick right there where I was like, I think Mekhi Lemon should have went way higher than that. But then again, I get why the Eagles went up and got him, because somebody was going to take him around that range. And then Dylan Thieneman going to the Bears at 25th overall was a little bit of a shocker to me. I had him going 18th to the Vikings. He's too good of a safety to be taken that low in the draft. He's a better tackler than Caleb Downs. He's a field general safety that can hit and he can blitz. The Bears are going to have a fun time with Kobe Bryant and this guy in their safety room. The Bears got better. They didn't really address a lot of the edge when it came to this draft, which I was a little surprised about, because there was a lot of edge rushers early in this draft that they taken, but they waited a while. They were taking centers. They took that center out of Iowa to kind of help out this offensive line. I think, in my opinion, another pick that really stood out to me that I want to talk about before we kind of wrap this up is Ty Simpson going to the Rams. I get the idea. I get the whole premise behind it. You want to see if you can get a guy, young guy who has 15 college starts, who is the least amount to get drafted in the first round, by the way, to learn behind Matthew Stafford. This is a project. This is going to take 2 years, because Matthew Stafford, he ain't stopping playing anytime soon. I think he's got 2 years left. He just came off an MVP season. But then again, you could have drafted a receiver like Mekhi Lemon to give you some spark on this offense. They did draft a tight end, but then again, I think a receiver would have been more impactful, because you were so close to beating the Seahawks. You really were. And if you get to the Super Bowl, you beat the New England Patriots. The Patriots' offense was so bad, there's no way the Rams would have lost that game. No way. But you use your first-round pick, 13th overall, on a quarterback who is nowhere near ready. Nowhere near ready. And next year you have quarterbacks that are going to be good that you could draft. But I get it. It's the Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre type thing. The Mahomes and Alex Smith type thing. I get it. I think it's a good model to develop young quarterbacks. I do. Am I saying Ty Simpson is going to be a superstar? No. But if he's not at least an above-average quarterback in the NFL, we're going to be looking around going, okay, why would the Rams do this? What was the point? Why? Why did you make this pick? That's kind of what I'm looking at with the Rams right now. I didn't really understand it. I understand it a little bit. The only reason it makes sense is because it's the Rams. You have Sean McVay, good place for a quarterback to develop. There's no pressure for him to go out there and start day one. He's not going to go to the Jets, where he might have to be the quarterback in the middle of the season. The only way he would be the quarterback is if Matthew Stafford gets hurt. That's the only way Ty Simpson would play, because Stafford's just too good. But I would be upset if I'm Matthew Stafford. Give me a weapon to kind of close the gap with the Seahawks. But then again, the Seahawks, they lost some guys. They lost Kenneth Walker. They lost some defensive pieces. So maybe the gap has already been closed just because of that. So I don't think there's anything else in the first round that I really wanted to touch on. I only got 3 out of 32 picks correct in my mock draft. That's not good. That's not good, guys. Let me know in the comments if you guys did a mock draft, how you guys did. But make sure to hit the subscribe button, like this video, comment your thoughts on the draft, the NBA playoffs, also the security at UFC White House this June. But I'm Jackson Burlison. You guys have been listening to another episode of The Take. We're going to be dropping Tuesday and Thursday every week from now on. So be prepared to have an episode out every Tuesday and Thursday. I will see you guys later in the next episode. Thank you for listening. Peace.
Talk to me, baby. Talk to me nice. I'm from another world, baby, yeah. Broadway paradise. They think I'm way too cold, cause I put my